Welcome to the first episode of IRLXP, where we farm for you and help you level up your gaming knowledge with all the biggest news you may have missed. I am your co-host, Tevin Brown, and I am joined by the absolute amazing... I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Briggs. I'm not only a full-time gamer, but also a boxer and theater head. So I'm just happy to co-host this podcast with my longest best friend I've ever known.
Heck yeah, man. How's your day been going?
It's great. I had work. Then after it came off, started researching this, and I mean, really, honestly, it's been full of just hype for this.
Nice. Heck yeah.
Yours?
No, I know mine's been doing good. It was a lot of like scrolling through Blue Sky and X and making sure I had like all the best notes and stuff and like anything that was going on. And kind of just getting this ready on top of doing work. And so it'd be like me like at work, like tweeting and then be like, oh, let me go run this cable because I do rigging electric for those like listening that don't know me personally. I work on film sets and I essentially just run the power. And also recently was kind of working on fixtures and stuff.
You also have another podcast, which I don't mind plugging here. I mean, like, we're running podcasts, so...
Yeah, so I also work on the Creatives podcast, which we have on YouTube, connecting fashion and film. I have incredible producers over there, and I have an absolutely phenomenal co-host in Simone, who really kind of carries the load. And there we like interview a lot of different people from backgrounds, whether or not they're fashion designing, or they're doing stunts, or they're doing costumes on set, or they're doing just a million different things. We have so many different local people to my area in Albuquerque, New Mexico, who are just doing phenomenal stuff in the indie world and the big world and all of it. And thank you for the plug. That genuinely wasn't scripted.
Yeah, I got excited, honestly, and the reason I brought it up is because I've watched the first two episodes and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, especially being a film buff.
Heck yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. But Briggs, we got a huge amount of news to go through. So for the audience at home, let's go ahead and level up your knowledge with some gaming news.
Level up. So yeah, Tevin, went through and farmed this for you guys. So a lot of this XP is coming from him, but I'm definitely happy to give not only my opinions, but also my reactions.
Thank you. So up first, I feel one of the biggest news we have to go through that happens every month, and it's actually kind of crazy with this month, because I'm not typically the biggest fan, but the PS Plus Essential games got revealed this past Wednesday, which they typically do, and they get released on the first Tuesday every month. And normally they're kind of hit or miss. It's for the PS Plus Essential people who that's the lowest tier. It's you don't get the games catalog, but you get like the free months or free games every month and everything. And this coming month, coming on Tuesday in March, this coming Tuesday, which actually for most of you who are listening on Wednesday, this held just released, so you can go and download these now. It's the brand new Dragon Age the Veilguard, TMNT the Cowabunga Collection, and Sonic Colors Ultimate. Briggs, how do you feel about that selection right there?
So because I have my PS Plus, so I am on top of the releases. As soon as I found out that not only we're getting Dragon Age, which is a game that I clearly need to play through again. Thank you for reminding me, Sony. But you and I were just playing the TMNT Cowabunga Collection, the remaster on Game Pass. And it's phenomenal. If nobody's gotten the chance to play this, it's something from my childhood that I used to play with my dad. And it not only has some of the like really, really, really like most fun aspects of the show, but it brings things from comics and gamers. Like it's something everybody can love. Now, Sonic Colors. I weirdly enough have this like very, very big soft spot for Sonic in my heart. And Sonic Colors has probably, in my opinion, the best theme I've ever heard. I've literally watched drum covers of people doing this theme on Twitch because of how intense and insane Sonic Colors' theme is. It's called Reach for the Sky. Amazing. But yeah, so I think all three of them are bangers. Surprisingly, usually I miss out on at least one or two. I'm not gonna miss out on any of these.
No, absolutely. And I kind of love you giving like a lot more context to Sonic Colors too, because I haven't played Sonic Colors, so I'm like of the three, that's the one I'm like the least familiar with. As far as TMNT, the Cowabunga Collection, obviously we just played that. And then Dragon Age the Veilguard, I know that just came out end of last year. So I am a little curious on, I know like financially it did not sell well. And so I feel a little bad that it's like coming to PlayStation Plus Essential so quickly. But I kind of feel good because then it gets in more people's hands and they can try it. And I think Dragon Age is a great series and people should definitely give it more of a try.
Yeah, I think the Dragon Age series gets overlooked in terms of your fantasy with Skyrim, the remasters that come on all the every 5 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you got any final things about this before we move on to our next one?
No, let's rock and roll.
Awesome. Up next, the other big thing that's happened recently, which absolutely crushed me. A lot of people have been talking about one of the things, but I don't think many people realize kind of how much genuinely happened. So Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and WB Games San Diego all got shut down by Warner Brothers. Now, Warner Brothers is closing all three of them and also canceled the Wonder Woman game that Monolith was working on. Mm-hmm. Monolith Productions, for those that aren't familiar with it, they were founded in 1994. They got acquired by Xbox in 2000, or they got acquired by WB. My apologies. I played one of their big games on Xbox, is why it's on my brain. But they acquired by WB in 2004, and now here we are in 2025, and they just got shut down. The biggest game that you'll probably know them from is the Shadow of War / Mordor series, which I absolutely love. Like, those were absolutely phenomenal. And it also kind of gets us into the second half of that. They were making a Wonder Woman game. And one of the big things about the Wonder Woman game was they were going to use the Nemesis system from Shadow of War and Mordor that they patented and also apparently own until 2036, which kind of throws me off about.
Weird to own that without a gaming studio.
Weird to own that without a gaming studio and not even like really using it. Because Shadow of War, I think Shadow of Mordor came out second, and that was like 2014. And now here we are in 2025, and no one's ever really tried to copy it.
It still updates technically.
Yeah,
so.
But Wonder Woman was supposed to have a reverse Nemesis system where like you're making allies, and the allies remember you because of the things you've done, and like make all these connections and stuff. And
that is incredible.
Yeah, it was.
It's like a better Infamous. Wow.
Right? Like, it really sounded interesting with everything they were saying. And, like, I know one of the head developers kind of came out and was talking about it. And she was talking about how amazing the team was and how it really kind of hurts her to see this happen. But it's sad that it's, like, really recurring news with the gaming industry today of just how many studios are getting just shut down left and right. Like, for instance, Marvel Rivals. That's a game that's doing so well. They just shut down their entire Seattle office. And
that's something that's in our notes. I mean, heck, we can just transition to that real quick.
It's
nuts.
It's essentially their whole US office, which was based in Seattle, and it was a small team, and they were working on a lot of stuff, like tweaks and different development pieces and like phases and stuff. And I know it kind of touched into the politics of it that the company wanted to move out of the US to somewhere else. But it still kind of hurts ultimately for that group of people, because it's like you make an awesome game that like does well, thousands of people are playing it, and that's still not necessarily job security anymore in today's industry.
Are you thinking, is it, so of course, not to get super crazy or political and not stuff like that, but the world we live in is nuts. With all of these things that are coming down from the US government, Marvel Snap was hit, and it was offline for like a week. It was, and I had like just gotten into Marvel Snap and been having a great time, and all of a sudden I got kicked out for a few days. I was having a great time. I love it. And my question is that like hand in hand with everything that's going on with Marvel Rivals and like the layoffs in the company, and that being that ban, people wanting to be out of the US in order to just not deal with this?
I think it was a mix.
What's your
with Marvel
thoughts?
Snap, from what I had heard, it was something connected because I guess them and TikTok are owned by the same business. So when TikTok got shut down, Marvel Snap got shut down. in tandem with it, and I never knew it until Marvel Snap
It made
got
no
shut down,
sense.
and then I was like, "What the heck just happened?" And I had to find out
Yeah, like
looking
the
online.
cards, bro.
It's like I gotta beat these people. Like I gotta collect these cards. I can't do that if you're gonna sit here.
I was getting Deadpool tokens. Come on.
But thankfully, with all of it, like it all came back online and everything.
It's all been resolved now, but it still was a crazy piece of news.
Yeah, it was a crazy piece of news, and it's always terrifying with stuff like that happening because, like we were even talking about, like so many things get shut down so quickly. So I genuinely at first didn't know if it was similar to like another shutdown of them randomly getting shut down and stopped for no reason or a different situation. Which thankfully it was a different situation, and they were able to come back. But it's just terrifying in the game industry today because we have it's so weird where we have like the easiest access to creating games that we've ever had, but at the same time, for those getting into it, the least security in having financial stability doing it.
Especially with, I mean, we start getting into AI and conversations about that and how like that security of like, this is my code, this is my writing, this is my character design, all of this kind of stuff. That's, you're right. Like, even in an age where everything not only is accessible, but so is knowledge, so is classes, so is equipment.
Yeah.
All of that is accessible, and yet at the same time, your job security isn't there.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, to bring it back to WB, do you think they haven't made a public statement yet, right? Warner Brothers has not made a statement about why they've decided to shut down all of this, or have
they did. Oh, they did.
Was it to focus on film?
It was. Hold on, because I thought I had the link connected to here.
The exact link to the tweet.
But I'm gonna go ahead and pull up right here. There we go. This came from PC Gamer. Warner Brothers is closing Monolith player first games in WB San Diego and has canceled its Wonder Woman game. And if we scroll down, the closures first reported by Bloomberg were confirmed by Warner in a statement provided to PC Gamer. We have made some very difficult decisions to structure our development studios and investments around building the best games possible with our key franchises: Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones. A Warner Brothers Games spokesman said, "After careful consideration, we are closing 3 of our development studios: Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and Warner Brothers Games San Diego. This is a strategic change in direction and not a reflection of these teams or the talent that consists within them." End quote.
That's pretty whack.
Yeah,
it's like even from an industry standpoint, you're telling me because you're giant games that everybody has worked on but hasn't done well.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, you're going to punish everyone else who's been doing well.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
to me, I think kind of the last piece to insert in there that I think is really interesting in that quote, going back to it, is the quote, we have had to make some very difficult decisions to structure our development studios and investments around building the best games possible with our key franchises: Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones.
But Wonder Woman is DC. That's the part that scratches brains.
It's just very interesting to me that, like, you talk about, like, we're going to focus on our key franchises, and I understand recently they had a change in the head when it comes to WB Gaming. There's a new CEO who's currently in, and from what I've heard, like, regardless of this, like, there are, like, good things being said about him. He's asking the right questions, doing the right stuff, and he's kind of the one that's like, we need to take a step back and make some successful pieces and stuff, because I know Suicide Squad did not do well, and
oh my goodness.
What was the other game?
I mean, we both played on it. We were on it almost day one.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what the other game was. I mean, Gotham Knights, not that great. They had Hogwarts Legacy, which was a huge hit. Obviously, the old Batman Arkham games.
But that also had controversy.
Yeah. And so it's the tough piece of, like, I know it's like a new head and he's coming in and he's like, let's take a step back and let's kind of try and fix all this stuff. On the other hand, I just find it really funny that you sit there and talk about we're going to focus on our key franchises, key franchises like DC, but in the same breath cancel Wonder Woman. And Monolith is a phenomenal studio, and the game sounded really great, and I was excited to see where it went. But
I just, I genuinely wish nothing but the best for all of those developers and programmers, and I hope that all of them get good jobs and find good homes
Yeah.
because they all deserve it. Well, let's get into some upbeat stuff. You've got some announcements, some FanFest
Yeah,
stuff.
so IGN FanFest was running February 24th through 28th, and I kind of picked some of like the biggest announcements that I saw. Also, please absolutely go to IGN.com. They have an entire article talking about even more of like the biggest reveals, because there was big reveals in movies and comics and games and so many things that looks absolutely phenomenal. With focusing on games,
For the upcoming year.
yeah, with focusing on games, I kind of cherry picked a lot of different things that I thought looked interesting, really wanted to bring up because maybe not a lot of people were like looking at it or paying attention. And with the first thing, the Blades of Fire announcement. Now, this is made by Mercury Steam, and it's the Metroid Dread developers from the Nintendo Switch. And it's said to release on May 22nd, 2025 on the Epic Game Store, PS5, and the Xbox Series X and S. Now, this game, I don't know how much you know about Blades of Fire. I personally didn't know a lot about it either, but I think it absolutely looks phenomenal.
So, okay. So interesting. No, I'm literally doing some
Yeah,
research. And so, like, I'm checking out some frames from this game, and it looks beautiful, first of all.
the combat looks really
It
cool. The
seems
the world, the trailer that they dropped, it made me really excited, which I get excited for a lot of things, but I also, as far as like where my money goes and like what I would actually spend on, I'm very nitpicky.
it seems like a high fantasy dream. Like that's something we've been waiting
Yeah,
for
yeah,
to fulfill the Skyrim itch that isn't Skyrim.
yeah, pretty much. We still wait for it.
At Blades of Fire, it makes me think: is there going to be a forging aspect to it?
I believe so, yes, because like looking at the combat, it had like some God of War feel to it, and there's like you go
Mm.
like in the footage, he's like at a forge, like building different weapons that you're going to use to like fight different monsters and stuff.
Rad.
But I thought the combat looked really good. I think the art style is really interesting. I'm really excited for this one. Moving on to our next big topic, Xbox did an, I believe they called it like the ID at Xbox showcase, but it was essentially just a big Xbox showcase. And one of the big things that they did was they revealed 11 upcoming titles for Game Pass that are coming in 2025 and beyond. And down that list, kind of going from what's nearest to what's kind of out there and we don't have dates for yet, we've got Balatro coming February 24th, 2025, 33 Immortals early,
Crazy hit.
really good game. I've played like a little bit of that game on my phone.
I've only watched it, and I already know how awesome
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. And then following that, we've got 33 Immortals early access coming on March 18th, 2025. This one looks a little interesting. I don't know how I personally feel about it, but I feel like anything that's getting added to Game Pass is just always a win and should always kind of be brought up and given its chance. Descenders next, April 9th, 2025. Blueprints, April 10th, 2025. Tempopo, April 17th, 2025. Revenge of the Savage Planet, May 8th, 2025. Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault, TBD 2025. Tanuki Palm Summer, late 2025. Ultimate Sheep Raccoon, which is TBD and we don't have a date for. Echo Weaver, which we also don't have a date for. And Buckshot Roulette, which we also don't have a date for.
Oh, Buckshot.
Buckshot Roulette, but Moonlighter 2 is the one that really stuck out.
Yeah, I was about to say. I heard that tone change. Go ahead.
I absolutely love Moonlighter 1. I loved the art style. I loved the mechanics. For those who haven't played it, it's a
The
roguelike
idea,
game.
the story.
Yeah,
Everything.
it's a roguelike game where you're kind of going into these vaults and you can complete the vaults and then they'll open more vaults and there's a whole story there. But then if you also don't want to do that and want to do something more casual, you can go into the vaults and you collect items and different things from the monsters that you kill and you bring them back home, and at your house you also have a little shop that you can put those things on for sale, and you find out what's a good price for them, like what maybe is too little, what's
You
too
can
much.
haggle.
You can haggle. You got to watch out for thieves. You can upgrade, and like that's how you get like the money to really like upgrade the town and upgrade yourself to be able to go into the vaults and like do more and like survive a lot more. And
It's roguelike. It's Hades, but more
yeah,
hometown.
and Moonlighter 2, just looking at that very short trailer, it looks like everything I want and more. The graphics are hugely updated. The store looks phenomenal. It's still there. It's a huge
Yeah, it's no
mechanic.
longer 32-bit,
It's
which is
no longer
crazy.
32-bit. I really love 11-bit games, and I'm really excited to see what else they do. And I'm really just excited for this one. And I really need like an actual date. I'm excited 2025. I'm happy for 2025. I personally would love a date. Are there any that really stick out to you though?
Well, Balatro, and what's cool is that once they're listening to this, it should be on Game Pass by that time already. Um, so they can check it out. I recommend it. It's really fun. It turns solitaire into something that's wacky and nuts and has its own underground game. It's not quite its Inscription level. At least I don't think so. We'll see. Maybe things will come out. But that and Buckshot Roulette. Those I'm a big fan of indie games, and I'm really happy that we're getting a ton of them on the Game Pass.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for Buckshot Roulette. That's kind of the reverse one, like Balatro is for you, for me, where I haven't played Buckshot Roulette, but I've seen so much of Buckshot Roulette that I am excited for that one. Moving into
That one's fun.
Yeah. Moving into kind of like some, not necessarily smaller, but just like other little things I found that I really wanted to bring up. Cash Cleaner Simulator.
We can call it popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn. Cash Cleaner Simulator official release date trailer. That looks like a really interesting game. I know some people are kind of already familiar with those different simulator games. Like I know there's like the gas station simulator and all those. Here's another one where you're kind of like doing some money laundering and different stuff. That one drops May 8th, 2025 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. We got some more WWE 2K25 footage of Bayley versus Naomi, and that game releases March 14th, 2025. My brothers absolutely love 2K25, or all of the WWE.
WWE
And like
2K.
we've been playing those since like SmackDown versus Raw. Honestly, like if we really want to like age ourselves, I remember playing SmackDown Just Bring It, and oh my goodness, that's like PS1 and PS2 days with Here Comes the Pain, and good lord.
Well, I mean, yeah, and then you got like, things like SmackDown, and like you got like NBA Street, things like that. That's on the PlayStation 2. Yeah.
This next one, not personally my cup of tea, but it looked interesting to me. Trailblazers Into the Mark. It's a roguelike colony Sims strategy game, which you can wishlist now on Steam. The release date is still TBA. But it's like you kind of have this giant like mech, and you're like, overview is like based on top of it, and then you like literally like build like a colony inside of the mech while the mech's traveling. But then the mech travels to like different like areas or bases or things that you got to kind of try and take down. And so it just looked interesting to me. I don't think it's my personal cup of tea, but I thought it looked interesting enough to bring up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you mind if I shove a I'm excited for and look out for a little popcorn?
Go for it.
Echo Defy Death. The developer is Three Hills. And it's not, again, it doesn't have any date yet. It's nothing that they've released. But I saw it coming up on my radar like 3 months ago or something like that. And I still haven't heard any news, but it looks super great. They have a little test trailer, and their page on Steam looks beautiful.
Oh, okay.
Echo Defy Death.
Yeah. I didn't know about this one. I'm watching that for a little.
Yeah, so it's very much like Katana Zero in a sense of like you get to retry a level over and over again until you get it right. But it works based on sound. So like the arrows or the like unsheathing of the sword. Then you'll see like little bing, 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 and then you can see enemies, and then you attack them based on that sound you hear. So it feels very like if Daredevil went full samurai.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was like making me think of. That looks really interesting. Yeah, and there's no release date for it yet.
There you go. No.
Dang, that looks good.
But it's on my wish list.
I like that. Speaking of kind of like interesting art styles and stuff that I'm really excited for, they dropped a trailer for Terminator 2D No Fate. Now, this is based off of the Terminator 2 movie, and it's a 2D action game.
Which is your favorite movie of all time.
Oh my god. So,
which is one of your favorite movies of all time.
I love Terminator 2, and this looks like this is right up my alley. This game looks so good. The action looks really cool. Like
I'm
There's the
watching the trailer
bosses. You're
right now.
fighting in the future and in the past. You're having like key movie moments and everything. I love everything about this game and just like everything that I've seen so far. And I really hope it's good. And it drops September 5th, 2025 on PC, PS5, and PS4, Switch, Xbox Series X and S.
Oh man, and like okay, so for those listening, if you're a huge fan of the arcade games, whenever
Mhm.
you would go in and like put in your quarter and play those Terminator arcade games, this is very reminiscent of that in its cutscenes.
Oh, yeah.
These kind of games like and like Katana Zero and stuff like that bring you back to the nostalgia of what used to be, of what side scrollers were, and like
Hmm.
I don't think they ever need to go away.
Yeah.
You know, and this proves it.
Yeah, no, I think there's always definitely a space for them, especially as games are getting more expensive and these ones stay relatively like near the same price and never get too crazy. I think these are great games. They're always great games. They're always so fun. And while they're not like the graphically most impressive, because I know there's a lot of people who focus solely on graphics, there's just like so
All
much
people care about
fun
sometimes.
inside of them. And I feel like the mechanics sometimes they're more important than the graphics to me. That's just me personally.
I agree.
Uh,
I agree. I will say for me, it's mechanics first, and then secondly, it needs to have good story or writing.
mhm.
So it needs to have a good concept. And then third is graphics. That's like the last. And if the graphics can be under style, like it can be a stylized thing, and as long as it sticks to it the whole time, I'm cool. What's Don't Wake the Beast?
Don't Wake the Beast is our next big topic. They dropped a trailer for it. It's a stealth roguelike, and it's coming to Epic Game Store, Steam, and GOG.com. And it looks really interesting. It's like a roguelike where you're like going into the vaults and everything, but instead of like focusing on killing monsters, you're sneaking past them and like you're trying to like not wake these like giant dragons or all these other creatures and kind of like collect the treasure and bring it back and then go and do like this other one. And so it's like a lot of the roguelite elements kind of like on their head, where combat isn't the main focus. It's keeping out of sight and trying to like sneak through traps and like not wake monsters so they like alert others and like chase you and different stuff. And I thought it looked really interesting, and so I wanted to bring it kind of like out for
Interesting.
people's like notice.
It sucks because like I love games like this and I love how they look and I'm like all of it is yes. The one thing that's no is I suck at stealth
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. I didn't want to say anything. I wanted to.
And that's my fault. I suck. It's not even I suck. It's just because I'm not a stealthy person. I never have been. I probably never will be. And I'm a run and gun, big stompy barbarian gamer.
Oh.
That's why I couldn't get through Last of Us. I had to watch somebody play it.
Yeah, but with that one, Last of Us is also different. Like, just play Last of Us on easy, because if you play Last of Us on easy,
The story
you
mode,
get
yeah.
plenty of ammo, and then you just run and gun. There's so many clips of people just
I just,
running and gunning.
yeah,
I said,
yeah.
just give it a try. That's
Just
just,
gonna swallow
I
my
understand.
pride and
I
do it all
understand.
over
I understand.
again.
Go through the pain.
Maybe I'll do it on stream. That might
Oh,
be
that'd be
fun.
dope. All right, I'm gonna let you go ahead and handle our next big topic because it's kind of in pieces too.
Oh yeah, no worries. Thank you. So Pokemon Day just happened. So they had a present that was all Pokemon themed, and that was Thursday. So that was almost a week ago as of the releasing of this podcast. And they said some pretty neat stuff. First of all, we've got a new game that's not only going to be available on Switch, but it's also going to be available on mobile. Pokemon Champions. And that looks pretty interesting. If you guys are a fan of like the arena style clashes, it's going to be very similar to that. If you like Coliseum, I feel like we're gonna get a couple like tastes of how Pokemon
Okay,
Coliseum was on the
perfect.
GameCube.
Because that was actually gonna be my question, was because I don't know a lot about Pokemon Champions, but looking at it, kind of like grazing through it, it looked and reminded me a lot of Pokemon Coliseum. So I was curious if it's more.
So that's the itch they're trying to scratch without giving you Pokemon Coliseum
Okay,
on the Switch.
understood.
And so they're seeing if they can get away with it. And I think right now what they're trying to push is the fact that it's both on mobile and Switch. So they're trying to see if they can pull some mobile users over using this game. Which Pokemon fans are nuts. Like they'll whatever you release, they want to go for it. I mean, for example, this is trading cards, which is not technically the same, but the Pokemon TCG, their Elite Trainer boxes are so hard to find that scalpers are putting prices up to like
Oh my
150
god.
for the boxes when they're normally around like 60, 70.
Mhm.
Like those are normal
Yeah.
prices. Still a lot, but those are normal prices. And so, yeah, with better news, Pokemon Legends ZA just showed a ton of what not only what the game is going to look like, but what your UI looks like. They said that you're getting all of the original Unova starters, so you'll have your Tepig, your all of that. It's exciting.
And with that one, is that like a new? Is that like a new like regular mainline Pokemon game coming, or is?
So what's cool is it looks like they're using the Legends series because we had Pokemon Legends Arceus, which went way back in the past and was a region that we already had, but just historically in its past.
Okay.
This one, I think they're doing a future. I think they're doing because it's the same region, Unova, which we had in black and white, and I think they're going to be making it future. So I think they're going to be just playing around with timelines. But what's good about that is that you get remakes that are original, and the Legends had that aspect where you were running and catching Pokemon freely, battling them out in the open, and the camera wasn't locked, so you're able to just feel like you're having fun in the world. So I think the Legends is going to expand upon that and really become more of a unique play style that honestly the more grown generation is going to enjoy more
Yeah.
because that's been the biggest problem is they've been locked into the same formula, and it's because of the kid audience. They want to make sure that 6-year-olds can pick this up and play it. I think Legends is their way to expand to their older audience now that it's been 20 whatever years.
Okay. Yeah.
Another announcement, the Pokemon Unite roster was expanded, which is really, really fun, especially if you're in on that Unite game. I believe it's still free to download on the Nintendo eShop. And the more the more the roster expands, the more unique not only your gameplay can be, but also like people's favorite Pokemon will be on there, which is what really honestly they're trying to get is that they have every single one on there, so that way your favorite's not excluded.
Okay.
And then something that we've don't so Pokemon Sleep. Pokemon Sleep was announced I think almost 2 years ago
Oh
now,
wow.
like 2023. And but like they had no like information, they had no date, they had no this is what it is. It was just kind of like a way to play Pokemon and also sleep good. And it was a sleep tracker. And now it's come out with a little more information.
For those like watching, I'm not the biggest in deep diving when it comes to Pokemon, and I trusted Briggs to fully know. He is my Pokemon expert on all things Pokemon, whether it is TCG or just straight up like video games, whether they're side or even anything.
And the anime too. I mean, I'm on top of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, here we go. So they've got the full website out now, which that's crazy. Looks like it's available in your app store now. Um, it's sleep tracking, so rest your very best, and then you can. It shows you like which Pokemon your sleep like activity is most like,
Okay.
and like has a bunch of different like. So yeah, it's just really like a cute idea to get people more involved in full rest, which I think, if I had to give a guess, is something that they're trying to combat against with the whole like video game quote unquote like addiction stuff
Mhm.
where people lose out on sleep, lose out on like essentials of like taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really a cool and different idea to try and not only get these super mind-boggled Pokemon addicts sleep, but also just to promote a healthy mindset in gamers.
Nice. I mean, that sounds really cool and really interesting. I think I don't know if necessarily I'll be diving into Pokemon Sleep, but at the same time, like I feel like there's absolutely a space for that, and anyone who this sounds like it's for, I absolutely give power to because at the end of the day, especially if it's to help people sleep, because I know it is so hard. Honestly, I might try it just to purely see if it'll help me sleep. Because I have trouble myself.
You might get excited. You might like be like, "Oh man, I really got to go to bed at 8 o'clock so that way I can get my 8 hours."
Let me get my 8 hours.
Otherwise, Snorlax is going to be mad at me.
Oh. All right, guys, but that's the end of our major news. So, kind of moving on to the next little piece that we've got, we are going to move to games to watch out for. Now, this segment is kind of really games that are popping up that we see that we really think are interesting and are grabbing our attention, absolutely, that we feel like more people need to know about, especially as it comes closer. So, Briggs, what is your game to watch out for?
Before I answer, I'm going to tack on to that as well. It's also games that we feel that like a lot of like media outlets or like things that we follow aren't really talking about. Like something that we're sitting here and be like, "Oh, this is really interesting. I haven't heard about it before. I need to share it with you." So my game for this segment is something called Deadlock, and I can't take full credit for this. My buddy Tim Straight hooked me up and showed me this. And it seems to be what I would call the next big esport. It is a huge MOBA third-person farming game that just got a recent update that has like 30 different heroes and fighters or villains or whatever the heck you want to call them. Characters, I guess, is a good way to put it.
Okay.
Each with unique setups and ultimates and play styles. And all of it is linked together in movement-based fighting and farming. So it's going to be completely based on whatever gameplay and style that you, the listener, want to. And I think it's going to be something massive just based on not only the team gameplay, because it works very, very well with functioning together, but it's got that try-hard aspect to it that you see in like StarCraft, League of Legends, these like big names that have become these huge tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
It has the aspect of I can get really good. I can do well with a majority of these characters. I don't have to sit here and do one or two. I feel like one is just as equally balanced as another, surprisingly. And I think it's because all the developers on it play these games all the time and are doing this out of the love of their heart. So yeah, that's Deadlock.
This looks so interesting. I'm watching the what is this full bot match FK 60 FPS Deadlock gameplay. This looks really interesting.
So what's cool about full bot match is that they take the inputs of players and use them into their bots.
Oh, that's horrifying.
So, well, yeah. So that way, also, what's cool about it is when you have a bot on your team, you're not going to feel like they suck because they're just a replay of somebody else that did really good.
Huh.
And vice versa, you can get better at facing those bots.
Yeah. Okay, I see. I see, because I remember talking before the show, like you kind of talking about this being like the next big esport you think. And watching the footage now, when you were describing to me, I couldn't see it. Watching the footage, I could definitely see this becoming like a next big esport.
Yeah, it's hard. It's one of those things that like words can only do it so much justice. Mm-hmm. That when you sit there and overview, okay, this is that's going here. This person's actually going here to try it. It's. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for also feeling like that with me, because I sometimes I feel like I'm not as connected in the pro scene, just because I feel like they're so not only so much better, but just so much a different world. But even still, playing this myself, I was like, wow, I can feel like this is going to be something that people are going to get excited about. Going to be on teams, be like, man, I really hope I get Seven or Mirage or one of these cool characters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, we're starting to really cut into time, so we're going to go ahead and move on. But I definitely think people should check out Deadlock, because watching the footage, just watch the footage. And if like it looks like something that's genuinely your cup of tea, keep it on your list, because it's definitely going on to mine. And I got to try this out and see how this is.
Glad I sent you an invite, man. I can't wait for it to
I'm excited.
Yeah, it is. Just to let people know, it is invite only.
Yes, currently.
Right now. Early access, alpha, invite only.
All right. So I'm gonna pass over to my sleeper hits because I feel like honestly, my sleeper hits and my games to watch out for kind of play hand in hand, only in the sense that obviously my sleeper hits are already out. Now, our sleeper hits are games that we feel like are out and just do not get enough recognition. And so we each had
Yes.
3 on our list, and my 3 is a game called Shadow Tactics, which you can play on PS Extra, PS Plus Extra, the game's catalog, Alien Dark Descent, and the Alan Wake series. Now, jumping down to that third one, Alan Wake series. Tevin, how is Alan Wake a sleeper hit? I feel like everyone's played it. I feel like everyone has it, and I feel like everyone needs to. 1 and 2. They've got 1 remastered, available on PlayStation, Xbox, PC. You can get it, play it. I highly recommend it. The story is insane, and if you really want to be like a lore nut, go back to the OG Max Payne games, because those tie into it and everything. It's very loosely, so you're not like getting spoilers if you play Max Payne and then play the Alan Wake games or play
And
the Alan Wake
also,
games.
you're not like missing out
Yeah,
if you play
they're
Alan Wake and you didn't
disconnected.
play
It's
them.
just the way that they are connected is that Alan Wake is essentially, they changed the name of it to Alex Casey for the character he writes, but Alan Wake is an author who writes the character Alex Casey, who is literally just Max Payne. It's the same voice actor, same face model, same everything. They literally just changed the name, and that is it. In the Alan Wake games, especially 2, I have never played a game like Alan Wake 2, and that is genuinely one of my favorite horror games of all time. And it's so good in the way that it mixes live action with animation and dark, gritty nature, and you have to use your flashlight and your guns, and you're limited on ammo like other horror games. They're just so good. Moving from that to Alien Dark Descent. Now, it kind of plays into why I'm going in the reverse, because Alien Dark Descent is an overtop strategy game where you control
RTS, right?
it's an RTS, and you control 4 different soldiers as you try to complete missions in an alien world. And I think the story is really interesting. The gameplay is nuts and nail biting, and you're doing all the stuff that you see in the Alien series, like welding doors and using motion markers to try and track where enemies are coming from, and you have to manage your ammo and your health. And it's like, especially if the aliens catch you, you can kill the alien, but the alien will also cause a panic mode to happen, or it's called the hunt, where if the hunt happens, you have an army of aliens, big and small, coming after your team. Like, if it literally says hunt activated, seek shelter, it is either getting to your freaking the giant like tank thing and get off the planet. Which also you might want to do it right before, because if the hunt activates, they won't let you in the ship. Or you need to weld doors and set up turrets and set up bombs. Make sure everyone's reloaded, everyone's in a safe position, hiding behind something that they can easily aim at those doors. Set up suppressive fire and get ready, because they're going to break through those doors and they're going to come for you. And there's nothing to stop them unless you are well prepared. And I think that game is absolutely phenomenal and needs more recognition. Jumping from that,
Especially with Romulus coming out. I
especially
mean,
with
heck, go check
Romulus.
it out.
Oh my goodness. If you just love the alien world, I feel like it's just such a good game. And for those who have VR, I know there was a new one. I think it's called like Alien Rogue Incursion, is similar to Alien Dark Descent, but you have the VR headset on and are like actually controlling inside. That looks horrifying to me as well. And then my third game is Shadow Tactics. Shadow Tactics is like a 4-person RTS like Alien Dark Descent, little less horror focused and more like Assassin's Creed focused, where you're playing as different characters or controlling different characters on a map, and you're trying to like achieve different things like sneak into here or murder this person and all this stuff. And it's really stealth focused. You have a girl who can like grapple up onto roofs and like really sneak through roofs. You have a guy who can take out like 2-3 people at a time silently, and then carry both people and like hide them in a bush so then people don't find them. And I feel like if you especially love RTS games and you love like samurai games like Ghost of Tsushima or Assassin's Creed, then I feel like, although Assassin's Creed is more assassin focused than actual samurai, besides the new game coming up. So I guess
Hasn't even come out yet.
if you really love it's like a perfect mesh of Ghost of Tsushima, Assassin's Creed, and Aliens Dark Descent, and I really think people should check it out.
Very rad.
Heck yeah.
What? All right, that brings me to my sleeper hits. The first one, when we were talking about this category, that popped in my head, I mean, when I was even thinking about this category, is Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush was a game. It is a action, music, timing-based game that dropped out of nowhere. Like, had no advertisement, had no leak, no trailer, no nothing. I mean, heck, to this day, I don't think I've seen an ad that showed Hi-Fi Rush. And it's just one of those games that I feel like deserves more recognition just because of the fun aspect of it and the uniqueness of the gameplay.
Yeah.
Secondarily, Cassette Beasts. That's another one that I found recently, and I was streaming myself. It's like 16-bit Pokemon-esque game that works very much in a sense of you have these creatures, you can combine them. It works off of the old cassette, fun mixing and putting together playlists of creatures because you record them on tapes. So it's got a very fun aspect to it. It's got one of the best soundtracks for an indie game that I've ever had. I'll pump that, and it just has this awesome bout of audio to it. And the last one is one that you and I recently got back into, Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah.
Both, I feel like people don't talk about it enough, and I feel like it came and went. People were like, whoa, okay, what's this about? And then people stopped talking about it.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a dwarven survival mining aspect mixed with your No Man's Sky.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got these unique territories and elements and missions that you get to go through.
Heck yeah, man. I think all of those games sound really interesting, especially Deep Rock Galactic. God, we got to get back into that one. But let's move on to our favorite bang for your buck deals. So we can help you break pots, not your pockets. So moving to my list kind of small, and it's kind of less deal focused, more focused on just more games that you can play for absolutely free that I feel like not enough people are playing. If you have PS Plus Extra or even Game Pass, which if you have a phone, if you have a Samsung TV, if you have a computer, you have Game Pass. Literally, I play Game Pass on my Samsung TV, and it is one of my favorite places to play, as well as on my phone with cloud gaming. But Jedi Survivor and Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars is the bigger focus on that one, because Jedi Survivor, it got decent amount of love. Not as much as I think it deserved, but it got decent amount of love. Sea of Stars needs way more freaking love. The art style, the story, the combat, everything. I hate turn-based games. I know I just recently talked about Alien Dark Descent and Shadow Tactics. Those are RTS games, which is real-time strategy. I am making decisions in real time, but when it comes to the turn-based, where I've got to go through the menus and wait for them to attack me or do all this stuff, cannot stand it.
Those are turn-based RPGs.
Loved it so much. Loved every second. I loved the characters. I loved just so much of it, and I really think people need to check it out. It's on PS Plus Extra and on Game Pass. And then from my PlayStation people, oh dude, this would be right up your freaking alley. I think you should definitely give it a try.
How did I? Yeah, wow. Okay, I'm glad I got Game Pass one.
And then for my PlayStation peeps, because I am a main PlayStation while also playing. I am a main PlayStation as far as console. As far as on my phone playing games, by far Xbox. For right now, they have Blasphemous 1 for $5.99, which Blasphemous 1 is an amazing Metroidvania game that I highly recommend everyone touch, especially because Blasphemous 2
I highly recommend it as well.
And Blasphemous 2 is just as good as Blasphemous 1, and you need to play Blasphemous 1 before you can play Blasphemous 2. And not only for story, but just for being used to the combat and used to the exploration and everything, but the art style. And
the timing. Jesus.
Oh my goodness. Briggs, what are your bang for your buck deals?
Oh, you got me excited about Blasphemous. Okay. Yeah. I was going through looking at like a couple of my replays actually. So my bang for my buck is mainly just deals off Steam, especially because it's coming out Wednesday. Hopefully, most of these will still be up there. I believe they will be. Star Wars Outlaws being one of them. I heard a lot of hit or miss with this, but honestly, since it's 50% off on Steam, I think it's worth it to pick up to at least try, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. You were just talking about Jedi Survivor, and I wanted to tag on to that, and I felt like that would be a good way to transition with that one. The other one is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I love the Assassin's Creed games. This one in particular is 75% off on Steam right now, bringing it to like a whopping $16 or something like that. Lies of P is a new, very interesting, like horror style game that has an awesome skill tree that you showed me like years ago, and it like was even being talked about before it came out. And it's 40% off right now on Steam. So those are my deals that I wanted to share with you.
All
guys.
great games. Other things I definitely think people need to know. PlayStation Deal Mania sale is currently going on. Can get a lot of good deals there. That one ends March 13th. The ES Digital Games Spring Sale on Steam is currently going on. Even more great selections there. That one ends March 9th. So be sure to go on to that one pretty quick because I know that's coming up. And then finally, save up for summer sale coming.
Yep, that's going to be one of the biggest deals. I mean, every gamer that's on Steam knows summer sale. So yeah, save up. Make sure you guys are ready because there's going to be a lot of stuff that we'll be talking about, and we'll be letting you know what to throw those dollars in.
Alrighty, guys.
Just so you know, Sea of Stars is on 16% progress. I just wanted to let you know.
It's on 16% progress?
Yep, it's downloading.
Oh, excellent. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I am your co-host, Tevin Brown.
I'm Briggs Bristol.
And this is IRLXP, where we farm for you and help you level up all of your gaming knowledge with the biggest news that comes, all the biggest deals, everything. We're going to be releasing these weekly on Wednesdays, so please be sure to tune in. I'm also going to find a way to post. We're doing audio only right now, but I also want to find a way to post them on YouTube anyway, so you can listen on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you decide to get your podcasts at. I thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Peace.